Hello ladies and gentlemen, Safehouse here, and today I'll be showing you a traditional tank build which is known as the Skullknight in ArcheAge. This one is the tankiest sort of class that you're probably going to get. It's really good at CCing out enemies and having a ridiculous amount of defense. It does lack damage though and can be quite difficult to level compared to some of the other classes. That's why I'm making this one the traditional tank build, and I may also make another video with a damage tank known as a Blighter, although it's not super tanky. That's why I didn't want to throw it down as the traditional tank, and I've gone with the Skullknight. So, as you can see, the Skullknight is Occultism, Oromancy, and Defense. So all of these really defensive skill trees. Obviously Defense is, Oromancy is, and Occultism is where most of your offense is going to come from. But this class really is about CCing and just making yourself as big as possible. It's got a couple taunts and that kind of stuff as well. I don't know a lot about how the stuff combos and how a lot of the abilities work together, because there's not a whole lot of information out there about the Skullknight, and I haven't actually played it myself, but I did do a lot of research into these abilities and read through pretty much everything that's out there on the Skullknight that you're going to be able to find. And after looking through a lot of other people's popular builds and that kind of stuff, I have settled on these abilities here. So I've managed to grab a couple passives from each one, just because the passives are really cool from each one. So increases physical defense plus 700, always going to be good. Has a small chance to stun the enemy when blocking a melee attack. So obviously you're going to be using a sword and board with this class, and you do block quite a bit. So if you've got a chance and just manage to stun your target, it really does come in handy. You got a few other cool things like decreasing damage and converting damage to health, and like I said before, Occultism is where most of your damage is going to come from. So increase magical crit plus 50%, increases magical crit rate plus 20% for 10 seconds after receiving critical damage, disabled for 30 seconds if it happens too often. We notice with this class there's a lot of the things that if it happens too often it will be disabled for 30 seconds, because it can get a little bit OP if you're constantly getting those procs. But yes, like I said, I can't really tell you the combos for this one because I'm not really sure, but these are the abilities you're going to be looking at using to begin with. This is a really solid tank build, especially for PvP, because it is so heavy in defense. Even just abilities like invincibility grants immunity to all damage for 12 seconds, effect cancels if you move. So bam, just 12 seconds, just stand there. There's obviously fears and stuff that are going to be able to make you move and that kind of stuff as well, but yeah, it's just a really great ability. Great class for PvP. You're going to really want to be running with someone if you want to run this class, because as I said, it's slow leveling and you really need someone to help you out and make the most of all the CC and tankiness that you have. There are also quite a lot of gap closers just to ensure that you don't get kited around and that kind of thing, because that's the big issue with melee in a lot of MMOs. So you got things just like teleport 15 meters ahead, and there's a couple other ones around that are going to make you be able to move around and not get snared, not get slowed, all that kind of stuff. I've also been hearing around that Occultism might get a bit of a buff soon, because it is one of the weakest sort of damage trees, but it does really tie in well and combo well with Oromancy and Defense. I'll also make sure I update this once we do get the level 55 abilities and that kind of stuff as well. If I don't make a new video, just check down the description, there will be a link to this build, obviously this one that I'm using right here, and I'll make sure I update that link once the abilities do change, and if the optimal build does change, I'll make sure I change that link as well. But this is a great all-round class, guys. I highly recommend it if you really want to be that beefy tank in ArcheAge. You're going to have to work out all the combos and exactly how the abilities tie together as you go along in the game. There's just really not much out there at the moment, but once the game does go live, there'll be plenty more videos and information out there. But I hope this helped you out and make a decision whether you want to play the Skullknight or not. It's really about giving you the abilities so you can jump straight in and giving you a bit of an overview of the class so you can really make up your mind whether this class is going to be for you or not. There are higher damage tanks out there, but they're not as tanky as this, obviously. So the Skullknight is all about CC and just being a huge tank, soaking up all that damage, which it does fantastically. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I have plenty of videos on builds and different classes in ArcheAge, so make sure you check them out. It really helps just to understand the other classes and how they work and their strengths and weaknesses. Obviously the weakness of this is going to be its low damage, and healers and that kind of thing may be able to out heal your damage, and it may not be the most exciting when it comes to PvP, but maybe you like being that guy who stays alive and just doesn't die through the whole fight. So enjoy, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, and if this video helped you out or you just enjoyed it, please smack that like button, or you can also subscribe to my channel for more videos similar to this one. Thanks guys.